Today marks the third week of the Trump administration that has been absolutely on a tear lately. As we could say goodbye to the penny, as there's one thing, though. There's one thing that Donald Trump is doing that has a lot of people saying, really? Do you really have to do that? Otherwise, it's nearly an almost perfect record of amazing accomplishments that is even having people on the left support him now. You heard that correctly. We're going to go over some incredible poll numbers, as there's a reason why during the Super Bowl everyone cheered him, and then they booed Taylor Swift, that, of course, supported Kamala Harris. As the Overton window is opening, the conversations are starting, and the actions that are being done right now by the current president of the United States are actually surprising the utter crap out of CNN that even admitted, holy cow, whoa. His approval ratings going up as the leftists and liberals are freaking out more and more. But guess what? Donald Trump is even currying favor with Democrats, as now 1 in 5 Democrats say that Donald Trump is doing a good job, as their arguments usually fall flat. Their arguments are filled with emotional, hyperbolic, nonsensical statements with no abject reality to them, as they're screaming, "Oh, the children! There's children that aren't going to be fed." We're like, what children? What are you talking about here? We're spending millions of dollars on pottery for frickin' Marat. What are you doing? We're giving millions of dollars to help Egypt do tourism. Get the hell out of here, you crazy crackhead of a bureaucratic government Becky that just wants that hit of taxpayer money. And they had enough. And they've clearly gone mad with it, that even fellow Democrats are saying, you know what? This Trump guy, he's pulling things out and doing things in a way that really are helping this country. And I would absolutely agree, as this is the segment here that it really is highlighting the shift, the polarity shift that's happening right now in our mainline society.
Nearly doubled up the number of days in which he has a positive net approval rating from his first term. And we're only 20 days in. Every single day, Donald Trump has been in positive territory compared to just 11 days during his first term. The bottom line is, no matter which poll you look at, no matter what way you look at it, simply put, Americans like the job that Donald Trump is doing significantly more this time around than they did in his first term, when he just had 11 days in which he had a positive net approval rating compared to already nearly 3 weeks so far, Jessica.
That is pretty incredible.
Yep. Wait, what's happening? Wait, hold on. We were calling this guy the funny mustache guy from the 1930s, and now they're covering his kind of rise to popularity. As there's a big difference between him now and him in 2016. And let's just be real with ourselves. He's doing way better than he has ever done before, to the point where now he's not just uncovering the JFK, RFK, MLK files, but there's new files that are just being uncovered within the FBI that soon looks like they will be having Kash Patel as their boss, as a lot of FBI agents now are also questioning their larger future at the agency, specifically when it comes to the overwhelming harm that they did to people because of their political thoughts and expressions recently. But now the FBI, even willingly themselves, they're like, hey, there's more documents that we have here. There's 2,400 documents that we previously censored that were supposed to be released in the 1990s, and that we just kind of kept. We just were like, yeah, we're not going to release those, that are now finally being revealed as government agencies, very surprisingly, are coming forward and releasing private information that Donald Trump didn't even declassify. If you remember 2016, there was a tug of war. Donald Trump made very declarative statements saying, I'm going to release the JFK files. He said that like 3 times. And then when push came to shove, the CIA said, no, you're not. All these other swamp monsters came in from his administration that said, no, you're not. And he didn't. This time around, the first few days in office, boom, not just JFK, RFK, MLK, which clearly have larger hallmarkers of government involvement and the government going after them. And now we're finding out there's going to be even an additional 2,400 documents that are going to be specifically released that the FBI was legally required to share in 1992 and just didn't. Gee, I wonder why, as it looks like we are one step closer to a larger peace deal inside of Ukraine, as Volodymyr Zelensky also just came out and said, you know what? The United States could have these rare earth minerals. We just want peace here. He's finally willing to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. He previously said he wouldn't do that. Now we're also going to have IRS agents, armed IRS agents, that are going to be sent down to the southern border to help out the Department of Homeland Security, specifically when it comes to stopping illegal people coming into the United States. As officially today as well, the Gulf of America was loudly proclaimed on Apple and Google. And you go on the map platforms, you go and you check the updates, and some of the wokest companies in the world have now bowed down to the request of the President of the United States, highlighting a larger signal shift. Google also moved away from their larger kind of DEI language and initiatives, and I think one of the most popular initiatives, even though it's kind of a not a big thing to ask, but it is a big thing for a lot of people, as Donald Trump has also announced that he is getting rid of those paper straws that the Biden administration wanted to force everyone. Again, not a huge deal, but overwhelmingly for the vast majority of restaurant owners and people in the dining industry and beverage industry, huge deal. That also will prevent microplastics from leaching into your drinks, as Donald Trump just had this to announce, with Ashley St. Clair announcing, "How is this man real?" The comment at the end.
To address it, and it really is something that affects ordinary Americans in their everyday lives.
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work. I've had them many times, and on occasion they break, they explode. If something's hot, they don't last very long, like a matter of minutes, sometimes a matter of seconds. It's a ridiculous situation. So we're going back to plastic straws. I think it's okay. And I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean. Okay.
Yeah, a man of the people is, of course, that soggy straw that has been mandated by all these woke liberal leftists that actually push out more plastic into the human body. They're finally gone, as Trump has also announced a 25% tariff on foreign steel and aluminum. As I'm just here kind of waiting. Can we lower taxes already? Hey, you're setting up, you're doing all this other, wheeling and dealing. We're cutting spending. Can we please get rid of the IRS? As of course, that's also potentially hinted at, as Donald Trump also started the ERS, the External Revenue Services. It also looks like he just cut a deal with the mayor of New York City, as the Justice Department just directed prosecutors to drop federal corruption charges against the New York City mayor. And I think one of the biggest policies that has a lot of people kind of questioning what Donald Trump is doing here is, of course, this larger kind of more aggressive kind of proclaimment about taking over Gaza, kicking the people out, and not letting them come back to that specific territory, as now Trump has just a couple moments ago threatened to cancel the ceasefire deal that he has personally fought for, as this ceasefire deal would not be possible if it wasn't for him. He got complimented because of this peace deal, and by the international community, by a lot of people saying, hey, man, that guy actually did it. That guy actually made Israel and the Palestinians come together and agree on a deal. And now that deal looks like it is potentially up in smokes, sadly. We'll get into Trump's statements and what was happening specifically behind the scenes. There's a lot of different accusations here. But before getting into that, we wanted to remind people to sign up to lookunfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up for that yet, what are you waiting for? As of course, that is a great way to not only get active, but get involved specifically with our independent media organization that predominantly is run through your one-on-one help and support. wearechange.org is the main website, but lookunfiltered.com is where we have 12 plus years of videos. And we have a lot of great videos specifically centered around helping you become the strongest, most amazing version of yourself. So when you go to wearechange.org, you can just go to Luke Unfiltered. The link's right there. You click here. It's quick. It's easy. It's simple. I'm going to be doing a special members-only video highlighting my new kind of video editing and production technique that has saved me a lot of time and has allowed me to now produce 3 times the content that I would normally produce in the same span of time. So if you want to learn how to be a content producer, we have Change Media University, an online class free for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. But more importantly, we're going to have a new updated video that's going to be coming out in just a few moments from now, specifically teaching people how to be their own independent media and highlighting how I was able to push myself mentally to really get something done that I was able to accomplish. My YouTube numbers through the roof, as of course I've just became more disciplined. I became more focused. I'll tell you exactly how I did that, all exclusively with a members-only video that's going to be coming out in just a few minutes from now, all just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. As of course we go back to this one decision that has actually garnered criticism from the conservative right and some people on the left, of course, as well. And that, of course, is his larger position on Gaza, as it looks like the great peace deal that he brokered soon could potentially be ending, as Donald Trump just said this.
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that be.
Looks like there might be some
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that be because that's Israel's decision. But as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. This is a different group of people. No, I would say Saturday at 12, we want them all back. I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it. But from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Mr. President, when you say all hell is going to break loose, are you speaking about retaliation from
You'll
Israel?
find out, and they'll find out too. Hamas will find out what I mean.
Yeah, this says, of course, a lot of people don't want hell to break loose, as already it has. The number of people impacted, the devastation, the life loss, the property loss is already major. But a lot of this is happening because Hamas just announced that it's going to be delaying the release of some of the hostages here, as they are claiming that Israel, quote, violated its truce and isn't keeping up with their end of the deal here, as specifically Hamas is saying that the Israelis have not fulfilled their obligation under this agreement over the past 3 weeks, claiming that the Israeli Defense Forces are obstructing the flow of humanitarian aid. That's the accusations from the people in Gaza, from specifically Hamas, as the Israelis are saying, no, we just want our hostages released. Donald Trump came into this and saying, no, you're going to release it, or all hell is going to break loose. As of course, a lot of people are now going to be paying close attention to this specific situation, as a lot of people are understanding that this larger kind of ceasefire, this larger kind of peace deal is, quote, growing strain. Sadly, we hope it continues. We hope that both of the parties here keep their end of the bargain. But Donald Trump also is now saying that he could withhold aid to Jordan and Egypt if they don't specifically take in Palestinians. Now, this is, again, going along with what Donald Trump has said and has announced earlier today, saying that Gaza will be rebuilt, but the Gazans and the Palestinians won't be allowed back in. They're supposed to go to Jordan. They're supposed to go to Egypt, something, of course, that the Jordanese government has been protesting and has already been specifically getting prepared for a larger potential conflict with Israel if this plan is kind of manifested, as we have seen saber saber-rattling from the Jordanians, specifically about this larger kind of initiative that Donald Trump is kind of spurring on here, as he is, in a lot of people's arguments saying that he just wants the peace deal here. He just wants to specifically end this and stop this and potentially even gain some territory for the United States, as him now threatening Jordan and Egypt there if they don't take Palestinians from Gaza highlights yet another kind of larger escalation from all of this, as a lot of people like MMA, UFC superstar Sean Strickland are kind of asking themselves, this doesn't really seem like America first, as Sean Strickland said on Twitter just a few minutes ago. Man, if Trump keeps up with this BS, I'm going to start waving a Palestinian flag. American cities are crap holes, and you want to go spend billions on this dumpster fire? Did we make a mistake? This ain't America first. Again, overall, I think Donald Trump did an incredible job. I think he's doing a very important job. But when it comes to this one particular thing, I would, of course, respectfully disagree. It does look like some people are saying he's just trying to negotiate here. He's just trying to barter. He's just trying to overask. But with the way that this has been kind of moving and the way that this situation is kind of unfolding, it doesn't look like it's just a big ask here. It looks like he's following through with this plan, as Dr. Ron Paul, a man that Elon Musk is now potentially looking at helping him audit the Federal Reserve, came out with this video today, specifically describing in a more eloquent way, a little bit more eloquent than Sean Strickland, why geopolitically and strategically, financially, it is not worth the risk to try to achieve and gain this new territory. Of course, it would lead to potential terrorism. It would lead to American lives being put at risk. It would lead to more kind of intervention that the United States doesn't have the best track record at doing and following through, as a lot of the intervention that has been done specifically during the Bush years was absolutely tragic, absolutely led to tremendous human life loss, American life loss, and just entangled us in foreign messes that we had no business in being in. And I would agree with the larger sentiments like, hey, before we start doing all that, before we start, let's fix the problems here domestically, as clearly there are major issues still at play here that plague our society, that plague our culture, that plague our economy, that we really need to hyper-focus on right now in order to fix. But this is what Ron Paul had to say.
U.S. ownership of Gaza, accompanied by forcible relocation of Palestinians, would cause increased resentment of the United States. This could result in increased terror attacks against the U.S. Even if a long-term U.S. occupation of Gaza went 100% according to plan, the U.S. government, which has an over $36 trillion and growing debt, cannot afford another open-ended overseas military commitment. Instead, President Trump should follow through on his campaign rhetoric about withdrawing from unnecessary military commitments. This, not tariffs, will help make America more competitive on the international economy. The best thing the United States can do to rebuild Gaza and promote peace in the Middle East is to stop funding Israel's occupation and blockade of Gaza.
Yep, and, I agree with Ron Paul, as other people are going to be saying. Well, what else is the answer here? What else is the solution here? Well, I think being anti-war, anti-interventionist is, I think, the way to go here. And prioritizing America first is something that I think is the larger goal here. And I would counter back with that. But other people would say, no, we got to get involved. We got to do this. And I'm like, do we really? Do we really have to? The situation is a mess. It's a very complicated one. There's a lot of bad blood. There's a lot of history. There's so many things that, it's a hyperbolic issue. No matter where you stand on the issue, there's always someone that's going to be emotionally triggered, very angry, and on one side of it, and will never try to see the other side of this larger kind of, this kind of worst of humanity that we're seeing unfold right in front of our eyes. It's tragic. It sucks. But for our people, our country, I think it's best not to get involved. That's just my own particular take. If you disagree with me, let me know why down in the comment section below. I always appreciate your constructive criticism. I always appreciate you guys being able to be honest with me And sometimes I don't always get it right. So if you want to convince me, you could do it right now in the comment section. Sign up to lukeunfiltered.com, where, of course, I have a more one-on-one focused conversation with all of you guys. We're going to be doing a range day just for members. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys signing up, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechanged video right now. New video just for members out right now. lukeunfiltered.com.